This is the new Mustang Mach E. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam and there is no hiding it. We have something special for you today. This is the new Mustang Mach E, the electric SUV by Ford. This is the new Tesla Model Y competitor. No one has been bold enough to take on the challenge fighting Tesla for the electric SUV market. Ford has done it with an awesome car. We have it in beautiful grabber blue. This is the premium. This is the first edition. This is the all-wheel drive. This has the extended range. It doesn't get better than this with an MSRP of $59,000. We're gonna jump in. I'm gonna show you everything about it. We're not gonna pull the door. We are gonna push it open. We're in the Mach E now, and I think the very first thing we have to talk about is, what is this thing? Why is it called a Mustang, and why are there no Ford badges anywhere on this car? Here's what I think. Ford knows that they're going head-to-head with Tesla on the Model Y with this car. I think they know their customer base, they know the loyalty of a Tesla consumer, and I would suggest, I think they know nobody is going to jump from a Tesla into a Ford electric SUV. They're gonna see it as an electric Explorer with a little bit of design. No, by adding the Mustang name to it, all of a sudden it's interesting. A Mustang SUV and it's electric. This car is now something to talk about, and it worked. Their marketing department, I'm sure they talked about this. They knew this will get people talking. I remember it being a rumor, and I remember saying there's no way they're gonna pull off a Mustang SUV, design-wise, power-wise. And to go electric, we don't even have an electric Mustang. We're just gonna jump into an electric SUV version. And they did it. It's now on the road. We have a production version. This is not pre-production. I've not seen one yet, but they did it. And I have to say immediately, whether you like it or not, and before we talk about design, interior, power, we have to congratulate Ford for having the courage to go up against a company like Tesla. So it's going to be extremely hard to steal away a loyal Tesla consumer and get them to jump into a car like this. Again, a Ford would not be able to do it. A Mustang has a shot. A major thank you once again to Ford of Santa Monica for hooking me up with this car. They gave me a fully loaded premium first edition, extended range, all-wheel drive. I mean, every option you can ask for, this car has it. This one here has 346 horsepower, 428 torque, coming from 2 electric motors, all-wheel drive, and it does 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds. The base version of this car starts at around $43,000. And as you can see, I have the sticker for this one. This one has a price of about $59,000. Now, I have said many times in my past videos that there are 3 cars that were hyped up and to be the most anticipated cars of the last decade: the new Corvette, the new Bronco, and the Jeep Gladiator. There is no way that this is not number 4 on that list. And I will tell you, when I pulled over to do the interior and exterior shots, I have never, ever seen a reaction like I did for this one. The grabber blue stands out so much. Everybody stopped to ask, what is it? And those who knew what it is could not believe it's on the road. A lot of people did not know these are just now going on sale. Ford of Santa Monica just got a good batch of them. Half of them are already gone. They are getting them every day. This is one of them. This is the nicest one in their dealership. There are so many things to talk about. I think the first thing we should start with is the tech. Right now, I'm looking in front of me, okay? Over the Tesla, one thing they got right, they put the little screen in front of you for the important information, because again, you don't want to change user behavior. We're used to looking down here for speed. Some of the Tesla models, you really have only the one center screen that you have to look over to. This one also has it, a giant 15.5 vertical screen with, might I add, a actual physical scroll wheel that's just attached onto it. This is one of the coolest things I've seen. We always have said we need a physical knob for the volume. Don't change that. Don't make it be a screen setting. Ford really kept it that way. Now, as I said, I do have a giant 15.5-inch screen to my right. I have a screen directly in front of me, but in front of that, there's a little kind of digital thing, and you wonder what that is. That is a sensor. This car does not come with self-driving just yet. That is going to be an update. They're going to add that into this car. It's a software update. This is a sensor to watch your eyes, to make sure your eyes are on the road, so that you don't just do self-driving and just take off and go to the back seat and do whatever you want. You still need to be present. Now, when I go into the screen, I can change to driving modes. There's engage, whisper, which will be your quietest, and unbridled. That is a sport mode. The coolest thing, when you're in unbridled mode, for example, and you start moving, the gauge cluster in front of me, you see the graphics slowly try to expand, and it gets bigger and wider, and as you decelerate, it gets smaller and smaller until eventually it disappears. Each of the driving modes has its own graphic. Very cool attention to detail. When I saw this, I said, okay, Ford is off to a great start, because people love these little gimmicks that are in Teslas, all these little things that you figure out as you drive them. Ford knew that's a major part of how you're going to steal those customers away, and they're doing it. This is just one piece. Another piece of the tech, this car is equipped with one pedal drive mode, and I can turn that on now just to see what it's like. And basically what that does is, when you let off of the accelerator, the car almost brakes for you. It starts to decelerate at a much faster pace, and as it's doing so, from the pressure, it is generating electricity. And speaking of tech, when you get this car, you also download an app and you make a user profile, which I don't have here. I'm not going to be able to show you that, but I've seen it. You do make a user profile, and through the app, you can unlock the car, you can lock the car, you can start the car, you can open and close the windows. Pretty soon, get used to it. I'm telling you now, every car is going to be like this. You're not going to need keys anymore. Everything will be through the app. You'll be able to turn on the AC. You'll be able to do just about everything through the app. Now, although this has a 4.8 0 to 60, because it's electric with a single gear and you get the torque instantly, it feels so much faster. And I'm telling you, this is just from a roll. I look at the numbers, it seems to get to 60 so fast. It's a strange sensation not hearing anything, but I think one thing Ford did that I wish they didn't, they do the thing where they introduce some of the fake exhaust sound through the speaker. I'm in an electric car. I don't need fake exhaust sound. I almost want to run away from that. That's why I got an electric car. We'll do a light launch here, and let's see if you can pick up the sound of the fake exhaust that I was just saying. I hate this sound. Let me see if the camera picks it up. Yeah, I feel it, and it's not even like they're introducing an electric car sound. It really is like almost they're introducing a little bit of a V8 sound. It's odd. Again, I've never liked it. I think in this car especially, why would we want to introduce kind of that muscle car sound into an electric car? No need for it. But again, wonderful news. You can go inside and turn it off. I've never been big into electric cars, but that instant torque, I mean, you almost don't even need much power. Any speed you're at, wherever you are, you're just up and away. Without talking about the exterior just yet, I do have to say, they have hidden the height of this car so well, and I'll tell you how they do that. But sitting in the back of the car, the back seats are actually very roomy. You have a ton of leg room, and you have a ton of headroom because of the glass panel. You don't have the softness of the fabric, so it seems like it adds another inch, maybe 2 inches. I love that, and as I said, I'll get into how they managed to pull it off with the exterior design. I want to talk about the interior while we're in here. First off, the first thing you notice is this fabric that you see up here, and you wonder, what is that? That is actually the speaker. Look at that. It goes from one end of the car to the other, and it is the Bang & Olufsen, one of the best speakers on the market. It sounds so good. It's on the door, massive speakers all over. I love how they've integrated it into the dash. The materials, the contrast in, you know, this kind of probably fake metal, but the leather and the fabric, it looks so damn cool. I've got both USBs down here, the smaller one and the larger one. I have those in the back. I also have a charging pad down here. Extremely helpful. Every car is gonna have these soon, so get used to it. This has that gear selector from the Ford Bronco that I showed you, and I told you every Ford is gonna have these now. The coolest thing about it that I'm just realizing with this car that I didn't realize with the Ford Bronco is you don't have to put it into park. The car will do it for you once you turn it off. Every time you turn off the car, it automatically goes into park. The materials, again, very nice. I love the seats, how you have that blue stitching that matches the grabber blue outside. People who came in, obviously they look at the seats, they love it, but the first thing you notice is the giant panel on top, open glass. You can't dim it, but I will say the sun has been pretty strong out here and I don't feel it. It's not warming the car. That's my initial worry with these giant glass panels. Something that not a lot of people notice. You wonder, okay, they call it a Mustang, but in what areas does it remind you of a Mustang? Well, even in the interior, besides the logos everywhere, you remember every Mustang, the retro ones, the remakes, all of them, they have this like split in the center of the dash here. This one continues it. I love that. I love that they didn't just throw the Mustang name on it just to kind of get that audience. They really kind of put some emphasis and effort into making it have that nostalgic Mustang feel. And I love how they've managed to hide the air conditioning vents. They really just kind of blend in there. You barely see that they're there because they're between two very interesting materials. You have the speaker and you have that kind of punched metal below it. Storage is major in this car. In the back, you do have the kick to open, which is awesome. You walk up to it, you swing your leg below it, it already recognizes it, opens up. Plenty of space. You're not going to have a ton of space vertically because it is that fastback design. And then up front, you do have storage, but it's the most awkward kind of division of storage I've ever seen. Now, you know, a lot of times they add these kind of dividers in there so that you don't have to have the pull tab emergency release, but this car still has the emergency pull tab release. I don't know why they had to add all this. I wish it wasn't here, but I'm sure it has to do something with regulation. This has a new style of door handle, and really, if you think about it, the door handles we've all become used to by pulling here. It's such an awkward motion on your wrist. It's down here. It's a lever that you pull. It works so well. This is how they should be. Maybe make it a little bit sexier than that, but they had to do it this way to make it obvious because, again, they are changing user behavior very subtly, and I'll tell you, they do that with a lot of little things in this car. There's a few more to talk about. So I showed you how to get out of this car with the new door handle. I think the best way to transition into the exterior design is to show you how you get in. Again, this is another example of how Ford is changing user behavior, which normally I am against. You don't change user behavior, but they do it in such a subtle way and it works. To get into the car, you push a button. The car automatically unlocks and it pushes it out just far enough for you to now use the lever to pull it open. The passenger side, same thing, except you don't have the lever to pull it. You have these little rubber pads that you actually pull from. Now, to be honest, I prefer it that way. I don't know why there's this little black lever on the driver and passenger doors. I like the ones on the rear door without the lever. It's a cleaner look. You have no door handles whatsoever. Genius. I love the way they've done this. Get rid of the little hooks in the front. Just leave it that way. We can use the little rubber pads. Now that we're outside of the car, let's talk about it. As someone with a background in car design, there is so much to talk about. First, let's talk about the Mustangness of it. The first thing I noticed that I say, okay, it's a Mustang, it's not just some Ford SUV, is the rear fenders. Look how wide they are. When's the last time you saw an SUV with fenders like this? Porsche was the only one that kind of carried that. And again, they weren't one that says, you know, we make every type of car. They were the guys that said, we have a Porsche, a coupe that works. Let's make an SUV version of that. That is what this is. It is the SUV version of a Mustang. You have to keep those giant aggressive fenders. It looks so good. That grabber blue, once again, really shows the lines on this car. Let's talk about what I believe is the most successful part of the design of this car, and that is how they managed to hide the awkward height of this car. Because if you look at where the tire and the fender, that gap between them, it's fairly small. This isn't a giant SUV or like pickup truck height, but you have so much headroom in the back, so you wonder, how are they able to manage that? Well, that's by hiding how awkward the height is, by painting these panels black. Look at how they painted the top black, how they painted the bottom black, and now at a distance, what you see is what's blue. What you see is what's body color. You see this with pickup trucks that they paint the bottom dark so that the car can look much higher up. You know, it's very desirable with pickup trucks. SUVs do this all the time to make the car look higher up. This car did it so successfully. I love the way it looks. They did it in just the right places. You know, when I was in school for car design, this is when the Chevy Volt was just coming out, and we always said, God, you know, you see these cars and you say, why do electric cars have to be ugly? What is that? Why are they? Part of it was because the batteries have to be really low, so that changes part of the design to keep the center of gravity low. The heaviest part of the car is at the bottom, so that really changed things. And then another major part was that you can't have a grille. Now a grille, an opening, the exhaust, these are all things we've gotten so used to seeing on a car, it almost gives it a face, it gives it a look. Without a grille, I mean, we saw what happened. Tesla just on the Model S, when it initially came out, they just blacked out an area. Now that's kind of cheap, that's a cop-out. This car has done that very well. They did a successful design on just highlighting around what would normally be the grille. There's a little smiley face on the bottom, and while we're looking down there, you can see these vents open up. This brings in more air, more aerodynamics. It needs to cool the batteries. Like I said, the batteries are on the lowest part of the car. I also say, along with a lot of the people that stopped to talk to me about the car, it looks so much better in person. Not that it looked bad, but you know, it is something new. It is something kind of we're uncomfortable with. It's a Mustang SUV and it's electric on top of that. But in person, the car, I mean, it's not just the grabber blue. I'm telling you, the car, it looks great. The features, everything, I mean, the materials, you love it. And it really goes to show electric cars don't have to be boring. They don't have to be ugly. They don't have to be slow. That's a thing of the past. They're not like that anymore. They look just like every other car, even better. I love that on the outside of the car, you don't see a Ford badge anywhere, not a single Ford badge. You just have the horse in the front, the horse in the back, you have the horse on the steering wheel. That's all you see. I love that. I said this about the Bronco until I found that one awkward badge, the Ford badge in the rear. I hated it. I'm so glad they got rid of it with this one. This car, they've managed to keep that kind of tight, sporty feel. And again, I was worried. They're calling it a Mustang. Does that mean it's going to be really fast? Does that mean it's going to handle in a certain way? Are we going to be reminiscent of a Mustang? Okay, no, it doesn't feel like a Mustang when you drive it, but to say that it feels sporty, it absolutely does. I'm lower, I look at the hood, I see the way the curvature on the hood there. It really reminds me of a sport car. The car does not feel like, you know, I've been in the Tesla Model X and it is big on the inside. You know what you're in. You got this long kind of flat hood. This car is very sporty, as I said. Everything about it, you know, the stitching on the seats, the big red brake calipers, the wheels, stunning wheels on this car, by the way. That two-tone, it looks so good. Bunch of people noticed that right away. Listen to this. Let me see if it's gonna ding here. Every time I go near a school zone, it dings when I'm 100 feet away from it. It dings when I'm 50 feet away from it. It dings when I pass it. Every time. It's kind of an annoying feature. And I'm glad that at the price point this is, you know, the big question here that nobody is asking, that I feel like I'm the only one that's really curious to know, what is next? In other words, Hyundai made the Genesis, right? It was the Hyundai Genesis at first. Then they realized, hey, you know what? We can really play off of this name. We can make it the luxury sub-brand, as, you know, Toyota has done with Lexus and so on. And they're doing it. They're doing it successfully. They have 4 models now. Is Ford going to continue to release cars under the Mustang brand? Or is it just going to be this one? That's what I'm really interested to see. I've been driving this thing pretty much all day, and I think it's time I tell you if I think you should get one. I do think you should get one, and I'll tell you the main reason. Tesla is the only other option you have, and with anything in the world, anything, whether it's design, whether it's performance, half your audience is just going to dislike you. That's just the way the world works. You can't win everyone over. And for the half that don't want a Tesla, they've never had a real option. There's been these, the Jaguar crossover, the electric one. There's, the Porsche makes an electric car. Nobody that committed to just go head to head against Tesla like Ford has done with the Mustang Mach E. And they have done a tremendous job. And until somebody comes along and shows that, you know what, you're not the only one that's going to get a piece of this cake, we're going to take a piece. Somebody has to come in first, and Ford, I give them props. They had the courage to jump ahead, and you know what? They made an amazing car. Like I said, the one thing that Tesla does not have, the main thing that this one does, is the sportiness. That factor of just getting in the car, you don't feel like you're in what you're in. You really feel like there is a hint of the Mustang. There is something fun about this car. It is exciting. It's stable. The weight on the bottom of the car, you don't feel it as much as you expect. The car is precise as hell. The power is there. It has everything. So give this a try. Don't be that guy that just says, no, you know what? Tesla's been doing this for a while. I'm just going to stick with them, and they're cool and they have a brand. No, you know what? Ford has been making amazing cars way longer than Tesla has. Tesla is the new company, and Ford has been studying Tesla, so they've managed to make a really good car. Now, Ford is introducing a really interesting payment plan with this car. You can do a lease, of course, you can do a buy, but you can also do a buy to lease hybrid. Yes, you heard that right. Not a lease to buy, you can do a buy to lease. They call it a hybrid. You buy the car, you agree to the payment terms, you're locked in, and after a set amount of time, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, you can go back and make your decision and say, you know what, I decided I'm still below the miles, I'm still below whatever it is, whether it's 10,000, 12,000 miles per year. You can say, I actually would rather return the car. I think this shows how confident they are that people are going to decide to keep it. They're telling you, listen, we're giving you the option. Give us a shot, take our car, buy it, and if you don't like it, you basically return it as a lease. A very bold step for Ford, not to go after GM, not to go after Chrysler, but to go after the top dog in the electric car field. They have done it. We're gonna see in sales how this does. I know from the dealership that I got this from, Santa Monica Ford, the sales are great. They're just starting to get them in, and the second they're in, they're off the lot. So that's gonna wrap it up for the Mustang Mach E. Give Ford Santa Monica a call. Tell them you want the car. I doubt this one will be there by the time you call them, because they're selling out like hotcakes. They are getting them almost every other day. They're getting a new shipment in. They have a bunch more that were lined up that they told me are already sold. So call them now. And you know why I say Ford of Santa Monica is different? I went into their showrooms. I went into multiple Ford showrooms, and I'll tell you, they have a lineup. If you want the GT350, they have one in the showroom. If you want the GT500, they have a bunch. They have all of the Bronco Sport lineup. They have the most I've seen. They have a ton of these. Anytime I give them a call, they say, yes, we're getting it. Yes, we have it. They have inventory, which means they're going to be able to get you the better deal. Call Ford of Santa Monica. Thank you so much for watching. If you've not already subscribed to my channel, please do so now. If you want to follow me on Instagram, the handle is the same, Adam Drives LA. Follow me there. I do contests, giveaways. I do previews of the cars that will be coming out on my YouTube channel. It's a good place to be when you see all the cars that I'm reviewing. Some of the ones that I'm not reviewing, I just get a ride in them. I'll post it all there. So make sure to follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next car.